speaker.
Oh, good. I'm going to put you on speaker. Okay, can you hear us?
I can certainly hear you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Oh,
Okay.
no,
Question is, do we want to?
We
You got
have
some good information.
Commissioner Sorensen and Commissioner Kenny here.
Okay, well, very good. Good morning, commissioners. How's everybody here today?
Good.
good.
Very good.
Well, very good. I appreciate the time this morning, and I apologize that my schedule doesn't allow me to be there today. It's been kind of hectic on my end, and I understand the same on yours, so hopefully things are going well. The purpose behind the discussion here this morning is to share with the group some of the findings that my company, Spyglass, has identified during the telecommunications bill audit that Kathy has hired us to come in and perform for the county. So, Kathy, if my memory serves correctly, the commissioners were involved initially to approve the Spyglass project to get it started. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so I can spare the back-end detail of what we've really done as it relates to how we go through the analysis. And I always like to just give a refresher for everybody in the sense that we're not a phone company, and we're not here to change things or find fault with the way the county currently operates when phones are concerned. We're here to hold the phone companies accountable for the monthly statements that they send and ask for payment. So in doing that process, we identified some fairly significant savings where long-distance services are concerned. Now, each of the county government or county departments obtain a Fairpoint invoice that also has long-distance services on it. And we're finding that there are some very inefficient rate structures, some penalties that are actually in place today that we would like to work with you folks to correct and improve that will not only generate some significant savings today and forward, but we also feel that there's some opportunities where they actually owe the county back some funds that we're going to hope to go after for you folks. So the purpose of today's meeting is to walk through the savings analysis that I've generated that Kathy has printed out for the group, talk through it, and to determine how to move forward if you're interested in continuing down this path. So that said, I guess I would like to open it up to see if anybody has any questions about the documentation that we pulled together and kind of take it from there.
I think I would wait until you explain what the documentation is, and then we can ask some questions.
I can do that. The left-hand side of the page shows the existing Fairpoint account number. The next column over would be the department.
Yep.
And it is broken down by the coding or the department names that we're seeing on the actual invoice itself.
Yep.
The next section over is the current cost. Now, this is a 2-month average based upon the monthly spending that we're seeing. And you'll notice that the sheriff's department, the register of deeds, and so on and so forth, has more expensive costs today because the rate structures that you're paying are significantly higher than what you could be paying. And that's what column E represents, is the actual cost if we were to agree on a new commitment with Fairpoint for the existing services that you maintain today at a reduced price point. And the monthly spend opportunities would be quite significant. So the monthly savings would be the $630 range, or roughly about $7,500 annually.
Okay. So what makes the difference? What's the difference? How do we go about reducing the current cost to the new spending?
Great question. There was another tab within the document that I sent to that email that has all the detail. And Kathy, I'm not sure, did you have a...
I gave them the long distance savings analysis that has by phone, outbound,
Okay,
inbound.
perfect. So that, the analysis will show where the savings are coming from. So the very first section is going to be the first one's going to be the county name, and the account number is 603-539-7751-401. What's happening today, at some point in the past, the county had agreed to maintain a contract or a monthly revenue commitment with Fairfield, and that amount is $500. And that all the accounts are linked together with the exception of the sheriff's account. That's not linked. So all county accounts are linked together, and all that is spending is supposed to exceed $500 for an old agreement that has been made. The challenge and the problem is that the spending that you are actively making doesn't meet that $500 threshold. And because of that fact, what Fairpoint is doing is they're assessing a monthly fee, and they're breaking it out and applying that fee to each one of the sub-accounts, to each one of your accounts, because you're not meeting the overall threshold of $500.
Kathy, when can we ask a question?
On this savings analysis tab, there's a shortfall penalty for $20.49 on each account because of that penalty. So what we're saying is reduce the monthly commitment that's currently $500 and reduce it to $95 per month, and all those penalties go away.
Commissioner Batson has a question.
Certainly.
I look these bills over pretty closely every week when I sign them. And I didn't catch where you said it was $20.41 was the penalty on each one of the accounts?
Which month did you happen to take a look at?
Well, I look at every month, and you said that if we don't get over $500, they penalize each one of our accounts. And I thought you just said that penalty is $20.41 or something like that.
Yes. And it's broken down, and I don't have a copy of the statement in front of me. I would be more than happy to show, to get a copy of the actual invoice and then circle where the penalties are coming through.
Well, I think I'm smart enough to draw the circle. What do I look for on the bill that shows that?
It would have to, it would say, I don't necessarily know if it quantifies it as a penalty, so to speak, and it's going to be variable as the months progress. So depending upon, so if you have, let's say, $250 worth of spend in long distance for this any given month, then you're going to be a $250 shortfall penalty. So they're going to break that evenly across all the accounts. So it's going to be a different penalty each month.
Well, they must call it something.
Variable. So what I can do, again, I can show you on the actual invoice what you would be looking for, but it will say things like usage penalty or commitment shortfall, things like that.
I think Kathy's gone downstairs to get a bill, so I'll yield my time until she gets back here, and then we can discuss it some more.
Okay.
So as a result of you looking at this and there's a savings, then what do we, as a Board of Commissioners, need to do?
Great question. The decision moving forward would be you can actually pretty much keep the same rate structure that you have today at the $500 commitment, and then you would just agree to maintain Fairpoint services where long distance is concerned for an additional 3 years, but you would reduce that commitment from $500 down to $95. So that it would require paperwork to be processed and signed, and that's how you would benefit from the savings.
And who would do that?
Well, it depends who would be, we could pull together the paperwork on your behalf, review it for technical and pricing accuracy, and then whoever would be the appropriate signing party on your end would need to sign it. Then we would process it with the phone company and make certain that all the savings, that the price was corrected moving forward.
And what's the charge for your services?
We get compensated on savings, so it's a contingency-based audit. So we take the first calendar year's worth of monthly savings. So in this particular case, our fee for identifying this problem would be $7,500. And then the opportunity would be, if I could direct your attention to the sheriff's account, which would be the second grouping. The rates that you're currently paying to the sheriff's department are 25 cents per minute for calls within the state and 40 cents for calls going between the states. When you look at all the other sub-accounts, or all the other accounts within the county, you're in the 3-cent range. And that's why the sheriff's department is the costs are so high. We feel, and it's our business case that we want to build on your behalf, is to go back to Fairpoint and say that there was a mistake made, and Fairpoint should have billed the sheriff's department at the same rate structure like they did on all the other accounts. And if we could go and confirm that, we want to go back historically and ask Fairpoint to give the county a credit back for all those months that the sheriff's department billed at such high rates. And whatever that would be, those would be funds coming back into the county.
Can I make a quick comment? We just make a motion going into non-public for certain items. This is public. So
I know
we
it,
should-
but he's on the phone, and it's our time to listen. That's not his problem, it's our problem.
Yeah, so we basically, this is illegal basically.
Not
Yeah.
illegal. So, according to your analysis, we would save $7,559.28. And you're gonna charge us,
That's correct.
and you're gonna charge us $7,500 for your services? We're not gonna make any money then, or not gonna save any money.
The idea with the process is that we identify opportunities for savings, and we would implement that there's no fee to have Spyglass to come in and do the analysis. And then, once the services are corrected, then your ROI would be 12 months. So at month 12, or at month 13, 14, 15, forever to the future, the savings would be yours. There wouldn't be any additional fees coming from Spyglass.
So this
This has been a problem. This issue was created a few years ago because the contract was with an original 3-year agreement that finalized, I want to say it's like 2011 or 2010. So for the last 3 years, this has been a problem. So it's been, and if we would have never come to the audit, it could have been continued to be a problem for another 3 years. So we get compensated up front for just only 1 year.
So you guarantee this information?
Yes.
Can you give us the name of 5 or 6 different places you've done this for so that we can check them?
I would be happy to share references. References I view as people who choose to do references are very happy with Spyglass. So let's assume for a second that I provide you all the references. Does that change your mind one way versus the other?
You don't know what kind of questions I'm gonna ask them.
Well, he's
So
asked.
it would be helpful to understand if there's, if we can focus on the savings, what would be the responses that they would potentially provide that would make you not want to move forward with trying to capture the savings?
The sheriff just came in, and we have Spike's Glass Corporation salesperson on. What is your name?
So my name is Steve Fisher from the Spyglass.
Steve Fisher. Yeah. Sheriff Riccardi just came in, and Sheriff, we're looking at the sheets here. The department's current cost, new spending with a $9,595 renewal. Maybe you'd be interested in taking a look and seeing how far out of line you seem to be with the other departments, and ask Steve why. Let him explain it. He said, I thought I understood him to say you're paying 40 cents a minute for out-of-state calls. That's what I thought I heard him say. That seems like a lot of money.
Steve, is that what you said, that regarding the sheriff's department, that it's costing us 40 cents a minute for out-of-state calls?
That is correct. For whatever particular reason, the sheriff's department has a different rate structure than all the other departments within the county. And we suspect it's our thought, we see this frequently, that the billing system and the phone company had a mistake, and they shouldn't have built those rates for the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department should have matched every other county department, and for whatever reason, that's not the case. So not only can we generate savings from today moving forward to the future, we feel that there's a fairly good opportunity to go back and get credit from Fairpoint for this specific issue, because the sheriff's calls are billing much higher than all the others.
Can you think of any reason why?
No, I think when this had first come out, we had noticed that. And this was all done before, obviously, I was in office.
Yeah.
And I think the contract or whatever ended maybe a year ago or something. So I'm not sure why we wouldn't do it if we can save money, for
Sure.
one. And I can certainly look deeper into it as far as if there's any justifiable reason for it.
Yeah.
I think it might have been, it was separate contracts maybe at the time when it was set up.
Yeah. Kathy, do we have a contract right now?
I will have to look.
Well, we got something here, because this is
I'll have to look
this
to see.
is March this year, and the reason, Stephen, we were talking about the $20 charge if you don't make the 500.
I'm sorry, can you say that again, please?
I said we were talking about the $20 or the $21 penalty if you don't make the $500 level.
Yes.
The reason I didn't pick it up, it's nothing like that. It says a non-recurring charge.
So you're seeing that within the invoicing?
Yes. I mean, there's nothing in here that states anything like it being a penalty. It just says non-recurring charge, which is the reason probably nobody's picked it up.
Yeah, and it's the challenge with the phone billing is that it can be cryptic, and it's not a lot of times representative of what's really in play.
Steve, excuse me.
The accounts are in fact linked, and there was an old contract that was agreed to at some point in the past that has since expired, where the $500 threshold is what the current commitment level is. And because we're not meeting that on a monthly basis with the amount of calls we're making, that charge is going to be assessed each month. So we're not saying let's move to a different phone company. We're not trying to sell any type of services. All we're saying is that let's keep everything as it stands today, the current account structure. All we would want to do is reduce that spending commitment from $500 to $95. It's going to remove all those penalties,
Steve, I stand corrected, or partially corrected. Above that, that was that was a line item total. Above it, the subtotal is corporate master shortfall charge, which is what we're talking about. So they do put it in there clearly.
I think it's because now we do email as opposed to phone calls, as in the past. You know, there was a lot of more talking on the phone for long distance.
Is less talking?
There's less talking
Right.
now because everything's email.
Steve, what did you say your fee policy was? Savings the entire year, or for the entire first year, or savings for the first month?
It's a multiplier. So we do everything in the monthly savings world. So in this particular case, if we decide to move forward with this, the monthly savings would be $629, and the multiplier is 12 months. So our one-time fee is $7,500 for the actual monthly savings that we would generate for you, and that would be due upfront once the savings are netted, or the savings are in place and verified within the billing. And then as the next calendar year progresses, you're getting to a one-year ROI, and then in month 13, the savings are yours forever in the future without any additional obligations to Spyglass.
One-time fee.
And so what happens if we don't make our savings goal? Let's say for some reason these figures, it comes out the savings is $150.
Well, we do a 2-month weighted average of actual data. So the only way that you would not achieve the savings would be is if the 2 months that we looked at were extremely high volume months. Generally speaking, in municipal and county environments, the usage stays fairly flat throughout the calendar year. The majority of the savings that we're generating for you is with elimination of the penalty. So the likelihood of not netting the savings is not necessarily going to be an option for us. It's going to be very close based upon the 2-month average we looked at.
So are you telling me on every one of these bills that we have here for each one of the departments, I should have been looking for the $20.40 for not making the commitment? Or is that commitment for 500 hours or minutes, whatever it was, across the campus?
As I understand it, speaking with the people with Fairpoint, that the accounts that you have, the separate departments are all linked together for all the $500 commitment. And at the end of the month, whatever the discrepancy is then divided equally and then implemented for each of the departments as the penalty for not meeting the $500 commitment.
So there's only one $20.40 charge per bill.
Exactly, and that's, again, I have to double check to go and see the due amount of months. That's going to be a variable cost because every month there are going to be varying degrees of closeness to that $500 threshold. So it could be $18 one month, it could be $25 another month. The 2 months that we looked at, the average was $20.49.
And what were the 2 months you looked at?
We looked at,
Pardon me?
bear with me here, folks. I have it here in my file. It was February and March of this year. So all this data represents a 2-month weighted average of the actual calls, the volume, and the cost from February and March for each of the various departments.
Sheriff, is it fair to assume that our call, and Superintendent Johnson, is it, that the call volume goes up in the summer months?
From my department, I wouldn't say so.
If
No?
No, my department.
we can take a look at additional volumes, you know, again, we have to, if there are months where there's higher call volumes, then we can factor that into the analysis, if that's something that you'd like us to take a look at, if we can easily pull those from the phone carrier.
Well, we're a tourist area. I don't know where your company is, but if you're familiar with New Hampshire, our #1 revenue creator is tourism, and in the summer months, the volume of people around here goes up significantly, which I would believe would result in more calls during the summer months.
Well, if that's the case, then what we can do is we can look at the June statement and add the June call volume into the average. Instead of having a 2-month average, we can take a 3-month average and see if that increased volume impacts the analysis. I mean, what we want to do is make sure that you're comfortable with the idea of moving forward and not, we don't want a fee from Spyglass to impact the county's decision to make a decision to reduce costs. I think we all can be in agreement that there's a problem in the sense that there's a commitment that's not being made today, and penalties are being assessed. And above and beyond that, there's a problem with the sheriff's department where they're getting a much higher rate, 10 times higher than what the other departments are. So those issues need to be fixed and then credited back. So I'm happy to add in additional months where you might have higher call volumes to make sure that the numbers are as accurate as they possibly can be.
Well, I would think you'd want us to. Isn't it fair to assume if we made more calls, the differential would be greater, the savings would be greater, and you'd have a larger amount of money in your pocket?
Well, if one would stand to reason that if the calls are higher, that you're going to be closer to beating the threshold, that the penalties would be lower.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Okay.
then this number would be lower. So
Okay.
I'm certainly not in business to try and line my pockets with things that we wouldn't be, entitled to. I want to make sure that we're being as equitable and fair to your organization as we are to our organization. And if that's adding in additional months to make sure the averages hold true, we're happy to do that. Because we need to focus the attention on the problem and getting that corrected.
Okay, thank you. I'm still concerned with your fee schedule. You obviously base it on on what, the first month's savings of any year that we sign up?
It would be based on the actual monthly savings, and in this particular case, we have to take a weighted average of call volume. So
Okay, so you would be, excuse me, Steve, you'd be billing us then, not like it is here, but every month?
Every month.
well, it's
For 12 months.
The invoice from Spyglass would be a one-time invoice from once the savings would be implemented. So let's assume that you choose to move forward, and we determine that the actual savings is $7,500 on an annualized basis. The one-time fee from Spyglass would be $7,500 due now once the savings are implemented.
So back to my original question, then you are basing it on an average after 1 month?
Well, we did take 2 months so far. We looked at
Well,
February
okay,
and
after
March.
2 months.
We'd be happy to add in, additional months if you feel that there's higher call volume in the June or July time period because of more operations in the summer.
Why would you be opposed to a monthly billing for the first year?
Can you ask that again? I apologize.
Why would you be opposed to a monthly billing when we find out in February what we saved in March? I mean, in January. And then you bill us on that savings.
Be more
The,
accurate.
the business model that we have is that we haven't collected a fee to come and do any of the analysis. So the idea, that's what was presented originally, is to get the agreement signed, to continue to, or to even do business with Spyglass, is that if we find opportunities for savings that you ultimately elect to move forward with, then the fee would be a one-time 12-month multiplier once the savings are implemented. Now, if you're saying that you won't move forward unless we bill you monthly, then I think that we have to talk about that, because the agreement, we entered into the agreement that we would get paid upfront for 12 months if you agree to move forward with something.
Okay.
Have any other counties in New Hampshire done this that you know of?
I believe so. I can certainly double check. We do a lot of work with school districts and city governments and county governments, and the business model and the fee structure is one where we come in to try and find opportunities for savings that have been there for quite some time. If we're successful in doing that, then future savings that are yours after the first calendar year.
So most likely, we're not the only ones that have been penalized.
It's unfortunately it's a common thing that is out there. It's not specific to county government and city government. It's the phone company can be challenging to work with. We see things where organizations have physically demolished buildings, but they're still paying for phone services to what now resulting to be a parking lot. So again, the word that I use is accountability. It's not of you folks, it's the accountability of the phone company. And an analogy that I like to draw is my wife, she just recently sprained her ankle and was in a walking boot and had to get x-rays and the whole 9 yards. And we're getting all these statements in the mail from the insurance company and the hospital telling us how much we owe, and we just assume that it's correct and we pay it because we don't know differently. And that's the analogy that I draw to the phone company, is that businesses make changes. They might buy new equipment, they might move offices, technology change, but these phone statements still come every month, and the phone company asks for payment, and things like penalties for commitments or lines that go to nowhere can still be prevalent. And that's what our business tries to do, is to make sure that those are accurate statements.
Another question, Steve. Do you confine your business strictly to telephone? Do you do any work with internet service? We have, I think, 750 connections here with Time Warner, just in rooms at the nursing home. But we have the internet all over this complex. Do you look at that too?
We did. As part of our analysis, we did all the landline voice and what we call data services. This is the first piece to talk about the long distance. There were some other phone services that we, and what we call data services that we have questioned, and that's going to require a little bit more digging to determine if they're valid. This was the one that we decided to focus on originally because of the opportunity for the phone company to give you credit back.
Thank you.
Is there any reason why we can't go direct to the phone company to get this corrected?
When you meaning the county to go directly to the phone company?
Right.
And you could. If you did that, there would still be a fee involved from Spyglass, because when we enter into the agreement, we ask that there aren't any changes to be made, and that's a sense that we're coming to with ideas in an effort to try and make a living and earn income.
Understand.
So whether we do it, whether the county does it, there's still the same fee structure involved.
Be sort of like you, David, with charging somebody to upgrade their blueberry patch and then having them go to the patch and buy it directly. You wouldn't want to do that, would you?
No.
And I think it's an ethical dilemma here. Not a dilemma. They've done the work. If we agree to go with it, then we should be obligated to pay for it.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
We
no.
agree to go with it.
What else do we have for questions? So this is just Fairpoint long distance, Steve?
That is correct.
How about our regular Verizon and our cell phones?
The wireless piece we did not look at. We as an auditing company will do wireless. But
Excuse me, say that again? You said you had an auditing company that will?
we do audit wireless, but
Oh, you
as
do
part of
audit
the
it.
structure, we don't operate under a contingent model. There's actually a fixed fee involved to look wireless, which we'd be happy to work with the county on it if you'd be interested in having us do the analysis. But there is an actual fixed fee, whereas the long distance, the landline stuff is more contingency, meaning no fee up front. We'll do the analysis. If you elect to move forward with savings and take our ideas and recommendations, then you pay us the first calendar year.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions? Anybody?
Well, I do. I wasn't here. I'm the new one on the block, Steve.
You're getting older,
So
though.
I'm getting older. Did we sign any kind of an agreement with you people?
Yes.
We did.
Yes, there is an agreement, yes.
April 17th.
So at this point, we don't have to make a decision today, but we are looking for a decision, how to move forward. If you'd like to move forward, we can begin to correct these issues on your behalf. But, like we discussed before, there would be a fee involved. So let's talk about that. What are the next steps internally on your end to review this and make a determination? Do we make that today? Do we schedule another meeting? Is that something that I can work with Kathy? What's the best way to move forward?
We won't take any action on it today because we're in non-public session, supposedly. But we could do it next week in public session.
Fair enough. So then I would work with Kathy to make sure to get on the docket for discussion and review, and then we would talk next week and make a decision.
Correct.
Not for me.
Not for
Very
you.
good.
No.
You're not gonna-
I believe in talking to references, good or bad,
Okay.
and I want to talk to a couple,
All right.
3, 4.
Commissioner Babson would like to have some references that you could email to us. He wants to check them out, and as a result of whatever he finds, then we would take action, maybe next week, but maybe the following week.
Fair enough. I can do that. I'm happy to share references. It's not a problem. I think I mentioned it before. I always ask the question of if there's anything particular that you might find that would elect you not to move forward with speaking with a reference would be helpful for me to know. But I can certainly provide that to you if you'd like.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Which other county are you working with?
Pardon me?
Which other county are you working with?
I think my phone is picking up.
She asked which
apologize.
other counties are you working with?
In New Hampshire.
We're based in Ohio, and we do a lot of county governments in all the footprints that we operate. Right now, off the top of my head, I can't name any, but I will certainly provide those to you. Once I get back and plugged into my computer and provide that information.
And I guess, just to clarify, we're not losing any services on these numbers. It's just changing what the rates might be.
Question.
The question that the sheriff has is we're not losing any services as a result of changing, as it's just the rate
That
decrease.
is correct. It would be services as you're occupying today and managing today. It would just be a financial price change, no change in actual service.
Okay, I guess we have all the questions answered, and we have to do a little bit of research to find out what other firms that you are working with.
Well, very good, folks. I have to, here's what I'll do. I will follow back up with Kathy and work the logistics out. I can provide the references, and then we can determine the next time where we can get together and make a decision on the long distance. And then maybe at that point in time, I can share some of the other recommendations that we made as it relates to the lines that we think that might be opportunities for elimination as well. Does that sound like a fair enough plan?
Sounds good so far.
Well, very good. I appreciate everyone's time this morning, and I will provide the additional information in a timely fashion here in the next day or so. And if anybody has any questions, Kathy, if you would be so kind to share my contact information, and they can reach me directly by either email or phone, and hopefully we can get things pulled together in the next week or so.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, folks, I appreciate it. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
There were a couple of counties, I'm not sure, when we initially spoke in New Hampshire that they have
That they
been
have.
working with.
Okay, let me take that back.
Thank you for coming up, though.
I don't know,
Thank you for calling me, Lynette.
because we had to touch base on this,
When
and
that was approved.
it seems feasible.
So when was the
Why would you be paying 40 cents?
Was it this year?
I think it was a
I
contract.
pay less than 6 cents for
We
mine.
signed it this year? It's five?
Yes.
What about 25 cents for local? You said,
I didn't hear that, Steve.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, 'cause you
25
know-
cents for local and 40 cents for out of state.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, he's earned his money right there.
Yeah. If it's a one-time deal for 7,500, we're gonna save 7,500 in a year, and then from then on, it's all our savings. It's just a one-time cost.
Because you can pay the fee from the returns for the error in the billing. He's gonna return you money from historically.
That's true too. Well, I think we need to end the discussion and discuss this next week.
Sure.
Public,
When
in a
we're
public
in
session.
public.
Yep.
Sorry about this happening in a non-public session, but the phone call came and it will pay in the long run for us to talk about it now rather than later, but we'll talk about it in public next time.